Okay, welcome everyone. We're learning Tractate Shabbos, Daf Ayin, page 70, chapter 7. Klal Godel is the name of the chapter. The Gemara says, Ma'ishna Reisha, Ma'ishna Seifa, at the top of the page. What's the difference between the Reisha and the Seifa? Between the first case, inadvertence regarding the Shabbos, and deliberateness regarding Melachis, or the other way around. In the latter case, deliberateness regarding the Shabbos, you're knowing it's Shabbos, but it's inadvertence regarding Melachis, so you're not knowing that what you're doing is a labor forbidden on Shabbos. Amar Rav Safra, kan midias Shabbos uperish, v'chan midias melacha uperish. Here, the first case, he withdraws from his work because of the knowledge of the Shabbos. Whereas in the second case, the first case was inadvertence regarding Shabbos. He didn't know it was Shabbos. He knew that he's doing a melacha, but didn't know it was Shabbos. So, kan midias Shabbos uperish, here in the first case, he withdraws from his work because the knowledge of the Shabbos. Kan midias melacha uperish, whereas here in the second case, he withdraws from his work because of the knowledge of the melacha. Amar li Rav Nachman, klum porish mishabbos al mishum melachos. Does he withdraw from his work because of his awareness of the Shabbos for any reason other than that he also become aware of the melachos? Uklum porish melachos al mishum Shabbos, and does he withdraw from his work because of his awareness of the melachos for any reason other than that he also becomes aware of the Shabbos? Elamar Rav Nachman korban dechai rachmano hamai. For what did the Merciful One obligate some to bring a sacrifice? For what? Ajagogo, for inadvertence. Hosom chado shagogo. Their inadvertence regarding the Shabbos and deliberateness regarding melachos, the person acts with one inadvertence. Achatuva shagog is havyan. Here, deliberateness regarding the Shabbos, knowing today's Shabbos, and inadvertence regarding melachos, and not knowing that you're doing a melacha or many different types of labors forbidden on Shabbos. There are many inadvertencies. If you don't know it's Shabbos, is one inadvertence. If you knowing it's Shabbos and doing different types of melachos, there are many inadvertencies. So the Gemara analyzes the Mishnah's ruling about inadvertence regarding the melachos. Chaval kol melacha. If someone knows it was Shabbos and performed many melachos on many Shabbos, he's liable for each and every melacha that he performed. Chiluk melachos menalan. From where do we know the concept of separation of the melachos into distinct categories of liabilities? The verse states, one who desecrates it shall surely be put to death. The Torah included many deaths for one desecration. But this is written about one who acts deliberately. Hence nothing can be derived from there to a case where someone violates the Shabbos inadvertently. You can't compare the cases. If the pasuk has no application to one who acts deliberately, for it is written, whoever does work on Shabbos, it shall be put to death. Assign it an application to one who acts inadvertently. And what does that mean? He shall be put to death. What does that mean? You must be moment. It means he shall die monetarily because he has to pay. But derive the concept of separation of melachos from where Rabbi Nosson derived the Tanya. Rabbi Nosson you shall not kindle a fire in all your dwellings on the Shabbos day. What is the Torah teaching? The Torah already stated. The Torah already states elsewhere that it is prohibited to perform any labor on Shabbos. Why do you say again, If he shenemar ve'akel Moshe's kol bnei Yisrael, it says Moshe assembled the Jewish people. Ela devorim, these are the things. Sheishes yom tasam malacha, 6 days work be done. Devorim, the term things. Ela devorim, had devorim, the addition of the letter hey. Had ela had devorim, these are the things. Adds the 36 more, because that is the numerical value of the Hebrew word ele. Ele is 36. Lamed is 30, Hey is 5, and Aleph is 136. Ela devorim, elu shloishim v'teshem melachos. These are the 39 melachos that were stated to Moshe Tzan. Devorim is 2, 7, 8. Yochel ason kulam be'enachas. This is explanation of how it gets to 39. Right? You have Devorim is 2, so it makes it 38, and Hadevorim makes it 39. Eila is 36, and Devorim is 2, and Dover is 1, Devorim is 2. These are the things plural, but the fact that there is a hey, Hadevorim, it teaches me that there are 39 distinct malachos, 39 distinct labors.
Is this you counting the letters in the? Are you doing the gematria or what?
So on Eile you do gematria to 39. The 36. Eile is 36. Lamed, Hey, and Aleph is 36. Devorim. I'm just looking at the meaning of the word. It tells me the pasuk says there are. These are the things. Things is 2, not 1. Thing and things. Devorim, and then there's a Hey. So they say from the Hey I learned 1, from the Devorim I learned 2. Together you have 39.
That's pretty slick. Okay.
Yeah. It could be thought that if one performed all of them in one lapse of awareness, he would be only liable to one. The Torah says, from the plowing and the reaping you shall rest. But I can still say, al charisho v'al aktsiro chayav shtaim, for plowing and for reaping chayav shtaim, one is liable to 2 offerings. V'al kulon eino chayav elo achas, while for all the rest of the melachos, the rest of the labors, he is liable to only 1 offering. Talmud leimar lo yisevaru eish. The Torah therefore teaches, you shall not kindle a fire. Avhoro biklal hoiso, kindling was included in the general prohibition against performing melacha on the Shabbos. Velama yotzus, and why was it singled out? Lahakishe leo v'leimar lecho, to compare the other melachos to it, and to tell you, ma avoroshi av melacha, just as kindling, which is an av melacha, v'chayovin oleo bifnei atzmo, and one is liable for violating it on its own, kindling. Av kol shav melacha, so anything that is an av melacha, the primary labor, chayovin oleh bifnei atzmo, one is liable for violating it on its own. At any rate, why did Shmuel not derive the principle of separation of melachos as Rabbi Menashe did? That we just said before, Eile had devorim. Shmuel sovala ke Rabbi Yossi, because Shmuel holds like in accordance with Rabbi Yossi, the Omar havoro lelav yotzus, who said that the melacha of kindling was singled out to be a mere prohibition, not a capital crime. The Tanya of lelav yotzus, kindling, was singled out to be a mere prohibition. Divrei Rabbi Yossi, these are the words of Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Nosson Eimer lechalek yotzos. Rabbi Nosson says, no, it was not lelav yotzos to be a mere prohibition. Rather, it was singled out to separate the Shabbos melachos into distinct categories of liability.
So Rabbi Menashe is holding it's the Chayav Misa, or
yeah, it's a distinct category of liability. There's each one. You have.
Okay.
just as kindling is an av melacha which carries separate liability, so too all the melachos each carry separate liability. That's Rashi's interpretation. Now, but derive the concept of separation of melachos from where Rabbi Yossi derived it. The Tanya Rabbi Yossi, it was taught in the Vaisa Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says, "Va'osom me'achas me'eino," and he will do from one of them. This teaches pe'omim shechayim achas al kulan. There are some times when one commits numerous transgressions, is liable to only one chatos for all of the transgressions. And there are times when one would be liable for every single transgression. Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Chanina, asked, what is the reasoning of Rabbi Yossi? Achas me'achas, the pasuk could have stated merely one, but instead added mem to convey from one. The pasuk says, "Ve'oso me'achas meheino." Why do you have the mem there? What the mem is adding over here? Also achas meheino. He did one of them. He will do one of them. Instead, it says, and he will do from one of them. The from is seemingly superfluous, so not needed, extra. Could have easily write "Ve'oso achas meheino." He did one of these melachos. So, my tam Rabbi Yossi achas me'achas. The pasuk could have stated merely one, but instead added mem to convey from one. Heino meheino. By the same token, the pasuk could have stated merely them, achas heino, but instead he says me'achas meheino, twice mem, but instead added a mem to convey of them, achas she'eino. Furthermore, we expound the two words one and them as if no mem was written in the following way. There is an instance of a transgression of one commandment that is tantamount to a transgression of them many commandments. Heino shi'achas, and there is an instance of them many transgressions that is tantamount to one transgression. So Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Chanina, now elaborates on each of the expositions. He begins with a superfluous mem in the word from one. Achas Shimon, the term one without a mem, would indicate that the person is not liable unless he wrote the entire word he had in mind. For example, Shimon. Me'achas, the word with mem from one, teaches that one is liable for carrying out just part of his intention. But similarly, they're teaching me two contradicting things. Is he liable only when he was able to write the entire name? So his intention was to write Shimon. So what happened if he just wrote Shin Mem? He didn't carry out his full intention. So one is teaching me achas, the term one without a mem, teaching me that indicate that a person is not liable unless he wrote the entire word he had in mind. Tells me no, so that's why it says me'achas, that even if he just wrote part of it, he didn't carry his full intention, he's still liable. So if you wrote, if you want to write Abba and you wrote Aleph Beis without completing the other Aleph, you're still liable. Or somebody wrote Shimon, you want to write Shimon, but instead he wrote Shin Mem.
So
still liable.
To a minimum of 2 words to be.
Yeah, because that constitutes, because the 2 letters constitute a word.
Okay.
1 letter is not constituting a word.
Okay.
So, for example, Aleph Beis, it's Abba, it's like father.
Right.
And it could also mean Beis Aleph means Ba, came.
Right.
He came.
Okay.
Or Bo. Boel Paroi, Parshas Boy is Beis Aleph.
Right.
Go to Pharaoh. Go to Pharaoh.
Right. Okay.
Shem Yishimon, for example, forming the name Shem by writing the first 2 letters of the word Shimon. Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Chanina, explained what is derived from the mem is in the term of them, Heino Ovis. Them without the mem indicates only Ovis. Me Heino Toldos, or of them it teaches that one is liable also to the toldos. Toldos is a derivative of the work. Maybe we can say the derivative of using a hammer is taking a hammer and putting and hammering a nail in is a melacha.
Okay.
Av melacha, the primary melacha. But taking the hammer broke and you put it back, it would be the tolda derivative, like just putting it together because your intention is not the hammer. You want to use it to hammer the nail, or the carrying of the hammer from one place to another. Although it's muktzah, would be a tolda, right? There's many examples for what toldos is, but the idea is that toldos are not directly directly the malacha itself. It's a derivative of the malacha.
Right.
Good morning, David. Good to see you.
Hey,
Good
Dave.
morning,
How
Pinchas.
are you?
What is the? He is asking a question. We miss you. We miss you too. How it worked for us that we can't bring a korban, tshuva can substitute. Or still, no, today, instead of a korban, is a davening. A davening, and for mistake, we do tshuva. Tshuva can substitute. I know your question continues, but I can't see the whole question. Oh, okay. Are we still able? No, once we do tshuva, Hashem says it's better for me that you listen, tov shemoya mizevach tov. It's better that you listen, you change your ways, and you're listening to my commandments, my directions, more than giving me a good fatty zevach, a good fatty korban, an offering. So yeah, today is tshuva. And back then it was also tshuva, meaning if you would just bring a korban without doing tshuva, it didn't do anything. That's why there was the concept of vidui. There was a confession, and there was also a smicha, leaning on the korban, and you had to have tshuva in mind. You have to have regret, remorsefulness, regretting for what was done in the past, and accepting that the future is going to be different. So yeah, today instead of a korban, we have these two elements of tshuva and prayer. What is the day? One of the famous days of tshuva is Rosh Hashanah, right?
Right.
Rosh Hashanah. What do we say in Rosh Hashanah? Tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah.
You can change the gezerah.
Change the gezerah. So, tzoim, kol mamin. Tshuva is tzoim. Is you depriving yourself from food, or you're depriving yourself from things that you like to do.
Right.
Things that why did you sin? Because you enjoyed what you were doing.
Right.
So tzoim, tshuva is actually depriving yourself from what you want to do, and you hold yourself back. So either you do it, or you are taking upon yourself to in the future once you're facing some kind of temptation that you're not going to do it. That's tshuva. Tzoim, tshuva compared to tzoim. Then kol is the prayer, our voice, asking Hashem. Then we have mamin, is tzedakah. Tzoim, kol, mamin. So next we're learning Achas Shein. Rabbi Yosef the son of Chanina elaborates on the expositions made from the two words one and them. Achas is one, and Meheina. Achas Meheina, that's the pasuk that we are learning. Achas Sheheina, a transgression of one commandment that is tantamount to a transgressions of them, many commandments. There could be one big sin, and there could be accumulation of small ones. Zodain Shabbos v'shigas melachos. For example, you know today is Shabbos, but you don't know that what you're doing is also is prohibited. Heino shiachas, a case of the many transgressions that is tantamount to one transgression, refers to one who performs numerous melachos on the Shabbos. So it's considered like one inadvertence, one melacha. So if you know it's Shabbos, but you don't know that the melachos you're doing are forbidden on Shabbos, so you have to bring one korban for all the melachos you did. Even though you took a car, you went to the beach, you came back, you made yourself barbecue, and all these melachos you did are considered one. Bring one korban. Shiga Shabbos the melachos with inadvertence regarding the Shabbos. But what about not knowing that it's Shabbos? Knowing that what you're doing is melachos. Zdon melachos, meaning that there is deliberateness regarding melachos, but you don't know that it's Shabbos. Why does Shmuel not derive the principle of separation of melachos from this exposition? Ushmuel achas shehi heino veheino shiachas. As for Shmuel, the inference of a transgression of one commandment that is tantamount to a transgression of them, a transgression of them that is tantamount to one transgression. Lo mashmale is not indicative to him. It says in number 6, rather he holds that the entire pasuk is needed to teach about partial intention and toldos. It emerges that Shmuel dispute the derivations of both Rabbi Menashe and Rabbi Yossi. Shmuel is an Amoira, who ordinarily does not advance his own independent view against Tanoim. We must say that Shmuel was in possession of a tradition from a Tanoic source, which accorded with his derivation. Holding in the right column, page 70b1, where there is a lapse of awareness of both this Shabbos and that the melachos on his part. He violated the Shabbos, both unaware of the identity of the day, meaning he doesn't know that it's Shabbos, he's thinking it's Sunday or Friday, and unaware that the melacha he performed was prohibited on the Shabbos now. Meaning, what happened if the guy is completely clueless? Doesn't know Shabbos, and he doesn't know the melachos that he's doing are even prohibited on Shabbos. Meaning that even if we tell him it's Shabbos, he will continue doing what he's doing because he doesn't know he's not allowed to do it on Shabbos.
He doesn't have any concept.
He's clueless about both.
Right.
Shabbos and the melachos. Because up till now we spoke about one of them, either or.
Right.
Either he knows it's Shabbos, but he doesn't know it's also. Either he knows it's also, but he doesn't know it's Shabbos. What happened is completely clueless. Omar Lei, again, not knowing that it's Shabbos doesn't mean that you don't know the day is Shabbos. You don't know that anything is also on Shabbos. You don't know the meaning of Shabbos.
Yeah.
That's that
people like that.
Exactly, because that makes it more applicable. Because obviously everybody can look at their watch or a calendar and find out that you know it's Saturday, but they don't know what Shabbos means. For them, it's a weekend. It's a regular day.
And then if it's a problem if you tell them, I don't know. But let's not go there.
Yeah, it could be a problem if he doesn't know.
No, but then
if he wouldn't accept what you're telling him. Shoygig to Mezid.
Right. So
but if you know that they would listen to you, then you're a mitzvah to tell him.
So you don't know if it's a mitzvah Rivera to say it.
Unless he would listen to you.
Yeah.
You can try him with other things. Tell him, hey, why don't you change? Get yourself better shoes or get something else. See that he listens to what you say, he respects what you say. Then you can move on to other things.
Try to warm up the drop. Okay.
What they say, prime the pump.
Yeah.
So, if the guy is clueless, there is a lapse of awareness of the Shabbos on his part. And he is therefore liable to only one offering. Adrabah, the Gemara says, Arei ela melochas bioda. There is a lapse of awarenesses of melochas on his part, meaning he doesn't know anything. All the melochas that he did doesn't know is asu. V'chayv kolachas v'achas, and he should be therefore liable to a separate chatos for each and every melacha he performed. What we usually say, we throw the book at him.
Yeah.
Of Elamavashi Chazinan, we observe. Mishum Shabbos Kaporish, if he withdrew, meaning he stops doing what he was doing, because he is reminded of Shabbos, then obviously he didn't know it was Shabbos. And it's liable to just one chatos. But if he withdraws because he's reminded that his act is a melacha, you tell him, what are you doing? It's asu. There's a melacha. Then there is a lapse. There is a lapse of awareness of melachas on his part. And he is liable to a separate chatos for each and every one. So I guess it depends what he didn't know. If he didn't know it was Shabbos, he just brings one. If he didn't know that the melachas are prohibited, that this specific melacha is prohibited, he's liable for each and every melacha that he didn't know. It's considered melacha. Does he withdraw from his work because of his awareness of the Shabbos for any reason other than that he becomes aware of melachos at the same time? Klum porish melachos ela mishum Shabbos. Does he withdraw from work because of his awareness of the melachos for any reason other than that he also becomes aware of the Shabbos at the same time? Ela loshna. Whether there is no difference which unawareness was brought to his attention. In either case, he forgot both the Shabbos and the melachos, and is liable to only one chatos. When it comes, the primary labors of Shabbos are 40 minus 1. Ravinan bo. And in discussing this, we asked Minyan Olamali, why do I need the Tana to specify the number of melachos? Why do we need to know the number? It's 39. Because Rabbi Yochanan said that if someone performed all 39 of them in one lapse of awareness, he is liable to a separate chatos for each and every one he performed. It is understandable if you hold that where there is a lapse of awareness of both, this the Shabbos and that the melachos on his part, Chayov al kol achas ve'achas, he is liable for each and every one. Shapir, for then it is proper that he should be liable to bring 39 offerings, because even if the person was not at all aware of the Shabbos, as in this case, or he was not aware of any of the melachos, his inadvertence regarding each of the melachos obligates him to bring a separate chatos for each. But if you say that wherever there is a lapse of awareness of the Shabbos on his part, he is liable to only one sacrifice, even though the melachos also escaped his awareness. How is such a case? How is such a case to be found? A case in which one would be liable to 39 chatos offering. How can you make yourself liable to 39 offerings in one shot? Bizdon Shabbos v'shigam melachos, where he acted with deliberateness regarding the Shabbos. He knows it's Shabbos today. Inadvertence regarding the melachos, and he doesn't know that this is a forbidden labor. And how can this person who was unaware of all 39 melachos be considered to have acted deliberately regarding Shabbos? At the end of the day, he didn't know it was forbidden melacha. What do you want from him? Why should he bring 39 chatos offering? Anicha, he is Rabbi Yochanan. if the Tana holds in accordance with Rabbi Yochanan, we said that so long as one acted inadvertently with regard to the chorus penalty, obviously if he does it intentionally would be liable to chorus. So the rule of thumb is that if the aveil that you did, the transgression, leads to chorus, when you do it intentionally, unintentional inadvertence would be translated to korban chatos.
Right.
Even though he acted deliberately with regard to the prohibition, this ruling of the Mishnah can be found in a case where he knew about the Shabbos with regard to the prohibition against performing melachos, but he was not aware of the chorus penalty incurred for violations.
So
He is considered, meaning he didn't know the punishment.
I know, but
He is considered to have sinned inadvertently and is liable to a separate chatos for each av melacha, 39 in all. That's it. That's already a different stage. That's knowing that it's also, meaning you know it's Shabbos today. You know that the work that you do, the labor that you do, is forbidden,
yeah.
but you didn't know that you're going to be liable to chorus. That's the only thing. You didn't know the severity of the punishment.
So therefore, you got to bring the chatos.
You got to bring chatos for each and every
A
one.
lot of cows, or whatever.
But I wouldn't call this case shoigeg. I don't know how they call this case shoigeg. It's not inadvertence. He knows it's Shabbos and knows it's also to do it on Shabbos.
Let's say
Fine, you didn't know the severity of it, but you still know that it's Shabbos.
I'm thinking about, let's say you got a kid that was brought up in a religious family. He went to the best yeshiva. He goes off to derech.
If he went to the best yeshiva, he knows it's chorus.
Exactly, but I'm saying here the kid for whatever reason goes off to derech and he's doing X, Y, and Z. So then what? You're gonna say he's I don't know. Then I know we give him off because he was a little mishuggah. Okay, next.
But if he holds in a course of Shimon Lakish, who said that one is not liable to chatos unless he acted inadvertently with regard to both the prohibition and the corresponding. I mean, he didn't know it's prohibited, and he didn't know that is associated with a chorus penalty. The v'yodali Shabbos umay. In what respect did he know about the Shabbos? The yodali b'tchumin. He knew that Shabbos. He knew about Shabbos with regard to the tchumin law. He knew about the tchum, about the community boundary. And this is according to Rabbi Akiva, who holds that they are biblical. The tchumin comes to the laws of
And
walking out outside to 2,000 amas. It's biblical. Amarav Akotza with Geres Gemara introduces another case involving multiple transgressions. If one reaped and ground produce the size of a dried fig, Beshigigas Shabbos was done melachos. With inadvertence regarding Shabbos, he didn't know it was Shabbos today, but he knew deliberately regarding melachos. He knew that this is a malacha.
That's the first case.
To reap and to grind, he knew this was a malacha.
Okay.
And then, without becoming aware of either transgressions, he reaped and ground another amount equal to a dried fig. Bezod in Shabbos Shigas Melachos. So I guess he did the same procedure twice. Okay? Because it says, first he did it, he reaped and ground produce the size of dried fig. In advance regarding Shabbos and regarding Melachos. And then, without becoming aware of either of earlier transgressions, he reaped and ground another amount equal to dried figs. So he did two dried figs, one after the other. Two grinding, amounting, reaping and grounding, amounting to two dried figs. Okay, one at a time.
Okay.
Now, v'noi daloi. 1 second. So v'noi daloi k'tzirut chinush Shabbos l'melochos, and it first became known to him about the reaping or grinding that he did them with inadvertence regarding the Shabbos and deliberateness regarding the melochos. Okay, noidaloi. So what became known to him? This doi melachos. He knows now the melacha is forbidden.
So you know about it was Shabbos. Okay.
Then he then became known to him about the reaping and grinding that he did them with deliberateness regarding the Shabbos, now knowing that it's Shabbos, and inadvertence regarding melachos. Reaping draws the second reaping along with it to its atonement. Utchina and grinding draws the second grinding along. However, if it first became known to him about the reaping or harvesting that he did it with deliberateness regarding the Shabbos, he knew it was Shabbos, and inadvertence regarding the Meloches, and he didn't know that he is not allowed to do it on Shabbos, for which he is liable to 1 chatos for each melacha he performed. Ketzira utchina she'imo utchina she'kenon komer. The second reaping draws the first reaping, and its related grinding along to its atonement. But the opposing grinding, the second violation, stays in its place without atonement. We'll continue, God willing, tomorrow. We'll try to do Tractate Sota right after this one.